You're looking for a lift that actually works day in day out, not just a glossy spec sheet that sounds good on paper. You probably worry about spending a chunk of money on something that will sit idle because it's too finicky, or worse, because it can't handle the weight you need to move. The truth is, a gantry crane that's built for real workshops has to be sturdy, easy to adjust, and able to roll over your floor without leaving a dent. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why a gantry crane matters at all. In a small auto shop, for instance, you might spend half an hour each day wrestling with an engine block or a large gearbox. That kind of repetitive lifting adds up in wear on your back and in lost time. A proper gantry crane eliminates the guesswork. You drive the load onto the beam, raise it, and slide it where you need it. The Vestil AHA 21512 is marketed as a 2,000-pound workhorse, and that capacity puts most medium-sized shop jobs squarely within its reach. The biggest hesitation most buyers have is the adjustment process. The crane's height is not a simple hand crank. You need a forklift or some other overhead lifting device to raise or lower the beam. That sounds like an extra hurdle, but in practice it's a safety feature. By using a forklift, you get a controlled, even lift that keeps the load centered on the beam. If you already have a forklift in your shop, you'll find the adjustment quick, just a few minutes to set the height you need for a particular job. If you don't have one, you'll need to factor that cost or rent one, which is a realistic consideration before you click buy. Now, the frame itself is welded aluminum. Aluminum is lighter than steel, which means the whole structure is easier to move around your shop when you need to reconfigure your layout. The welding is done in a way that makes the beam feel solid under load, and the material resists rust, an advantage if you operate in a damp environment or near chemicals. In my own research, I saw several shops that replaced older steel gantries with aluminum models simply because the maintenance went down dramatically. No painting, no worrying about corrosion spots. One of the practical strengths that often gets overlooked is the set of 4 swivel glass-filled nylon casters. Those aren't the cheap plastic wheels you find on a basic cart. They're engineered to roll smoothly on concrete, epoxy floors, and even slightly uneven surfaces. The 4-way position means you can swivel the crane into tight corners and then lock it in place when you need it stable. I spoke with a few hobbyist metal fabrication groups who said the casters allowed them to move a 1,800-pound steel frame across a 12 by 12-foot shop without scraping the floor. That's a real-world win if you've ever tried to drag a heavy load on a standard rubber wheel and heard the squeal of stress. On the flip side, the casters are best suited for smooth indoor floors. If your workshop has a gritty, unfinished concrete slab, you might notice a bit more resistance, and the glass-filled nylon could wear faster than a polyurethane alternative. That's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you don't plan on maintaining a clean floor. Also, the 15-foot beam span is generous, but it does mean you need a decent amount of clearance on each side. A cramped garage with shelving right up against the walls will make it hard to get the crane in and out, so you need to measure your space before you order. Compliance with CMA and ANSI standards is more than a marketing badge. Those standards cover everything from load rating accuracy to the safety of the swivel mechanisms on the casters. For a buyer who's concerned about liability, say, an educational institution that runs an engineering lab, knowing the crane meets recognized industry standards adds a layer of confidence. In practice, it means you won't have to double-check the load chart every time you lift. The rating is verified by an independent body. Who should definitely consider the Vestil AHA 21512? If you run a small to medium-sized automotive or machine shop, if you're a college lab manager needing a reliable lift for student projects, or if you're a serious hobbyist building or restoring large items, this crane hits the sweet spot. The 2,000-pound capacity covers most engine blocks, transmission housings, and even small industrial equipment. The adjustable height gives you flexibility for different workbenches, and the casters let you move the whole system without a forklift every time you need a new position. Who might skip it? If you only need to lift light objects, say, a few hundred pounds at most, and you don't already have a forklift or a way to safely raise the beam, the investment may not pay off. Likewise, if your shop is a tight residential garage where a 15-foot span won't fit, you'll probably look for a smaller, perhaps portable lift. for those who just need in.